The first child to cry upon entering this world shall be the chosen heir to my throne, destined to lead our kingdom when I depart to join our honored ancestors. With the authority vested in me, let this decree resonate throughout our lands, for it is the divine will that shapes our future. In the vibrant and bustling village of Okuku, there dwelled a king of great renown and valor, King Olu. With his mighty sword and unwavering courage, he had triumphed in countless battles, securing the borders of his kingdom and earning the respect of all who knew him. Yet, for all his victories, there was one challenge that eluded him: the blessing of a child. For 10 long years, King Olu and his beloved wife, Fatu, had prayed fervently for the pitter-patter of little feet to grace their palace halls. But alas, their prayers seemed to fall on deaf ears, and their hearts grew heavy with longing. As whispers of concern spread throughout the village, King Olu's enemies seized upon his perceived weakness, mocking him and plotting to seize his kingdom for themselves. The very thought of losing his beloved realm filled King Olu with dread and sorrow. But fear not, for in times of darkness there shines a glimmer of hope. The wise elders of Okuku, guided by the wisdom of the ancients, devised a plan to secure the future of their kingdom. They counseled King Olu to take a second wife, believing that the gods would bless her with the child who would one day succeed the king upon his throne. And so, with hearts full of anticipation and faith, the people of Okuku awaited the arrival of their new queen, praying that she would bring with her the promise of a bright and prosperous future for their beloved king and kingdom. With the anticipation of a new queen in the air, the village of Okuku buzzed with excitement. King Olu, though hesitant at first, trusted in the wisdom of the elders and welcomed his new wife with open arms. Her name was Amma, and she brought with her a gentle spirit and a kind heart. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the bond between King Olu and Queen Amma grew stronger. Meanwhile, Queen Fatu also found herself with child, a miraculous blessing that filled the palace with joy and wonder. The news of 2 royal pregnancies spread like wildfire throughout the kingdom, filling every corner with jubilation and celebration. At long last, it seemed that King Olu's prayers had been answered twice over. As the news of Queen Fatu's pregnancy spread throughout the palace, Queen Amma's heart swelled with conflicting emotions. Though she outwardly rejoiced for her fellow queen, a seed of jealousy took root within her heart. I had always dreamed that I would be the one to give the king an heir to the throne, Queen Amma whispered to herself, her brows furrowed with worry. But what if Queen Fatu gives birth to a boy, and I give birth to a girl? Will my stay in this grand palace be numbered? Her mind raced with doubts and fears as she paced the halls of the palace, her thoughts consumed by the uncertainty of the future. Meanwhile, Queen Fatu was thrilled about becoming a mother. She smiled and gently held her belly, feeling the baby growing inside her. She had no idea that Queen Amma was feeling jealous. As the days passed and the time for the babies to be born got closer, Queen Amma's jealousy grew stronger. It was like a big storm brewing inside her, ready to explode at any moment and spoil the happiness of everyone in the palace. Feeling desperate and consumed by jealousy, Queen Amma decided to seek help from the village's native doctor. She hoped he could change the sex of Queen Fatu's baby, or make her lose the pregnancy altogether. But when Queen Amma arrived at the native doctor's hut and explained her wicked plan, the wise old man shook his head in disapproval. "I will never be a part of such evil deeds," he declared firmly. "The child that Queen Fatu carries is a gift from the gods, destined to bring greatness to our kingdom and protect us from our enemies. Feeling ashamed and disappointed, Queen Ama left the native doctor's hut, with her head hung low. Instead of giving up, she vowed to do whatever it took to ensure that her child would become the heir to the throne. With determination burning in her heart, Queen Ama plotted and schemed, her mind filled with thoughts of securing her child's future. She knew she had to act swiftly and decisively to tip the scales of destiny in her favor. Not giving up, Queen Ama traveled to nearby villages to find other wise people who could help her. She didn't visit just one, but 5 different people known for their special powers. Sadly, each one told her the same thing. "I can't help you do something wrong," they all said seriously. "The baby Queen Fatu is carrying as a gift from the gods. We can't interfere with that." Queen Ama felt more disappointed than ever. She had really hoped that at least one of them could help her, but it seemed like things weren't going to work out the way she wanted. Feeling defeated and sad, Queen Ama returned home to a Kuku village. When Queen Ama returned home, she was greeted warmly by Queen Fatu, but to her surprise, Queen Ama remained silent, refusing to respond to her greetings. Confused, Queen Fatu asked, "What's wrong? Why won't you talk to me?" "Why should I talk to you, you witch?" Queen Ama snapped angrily. Shocked by the accusation, Queen Fatu replied, "I beg your pardon. What do you mean by that? How dare you call me a witch? What have I done to you?" "You have done everything," Queen Ama retorted, her voice filled with anger. "Why did you become pregnant at the same time as me? Why haven't you been able to give our husband a child for so many years, and now, when I'm carrying the heir to the throne, you suddenly decide to become pregnant too?" Queen Fatu's eyes widened in disbelief at Queen Ama's accusations. "I had no control over when I became pregnant," she replied calmly. "And I've prayed for a child just as much as you have. This is a blessing from the gods, not something I planned." "Yeah, right. I know you didn't plan it. You should be happy that I brought luck to this kingdom, you wicked woman," Queen Ama exclaimed, her anger boiling over. "I won't answer you. Let me wait for our husband. I will report you to him," Queen Fatu replied calmly, hurt by Queen Ama's words. "I don't care what you do, you old woman," Queen Ama spat, storming off and leaving Queen Fatu feeling surprised and confused by her behavior. As Queen Fatu watched Queen Ama leave, she couldn't help but feel saddened by the turn of events. She had never expected Queen Ama to lash out at her in such a way, and she wondered what had caused her fellow queen to become so consumed by anger and jealousy. When King Olu came back to the palace, Queen Fatu didn't waste any time. She went straight to him for advice. Hurrying to his side, she told him all about what happened with Queen Ama. Her voice shook with feelings as she explained how Queen Ama's mean words had hurt her a lot. It was like her heart got hit by sharp arrows, and she felt really upset and confused. When Queen Fatu finished, King Olu's face changed. He looked really angry. "How dare Ama say such a thing to you?" he said loudly, his voice showing how serious he was. Queen Fatu felt much better knowing that King Olu was completely on her side. King Olu then asked the maids to call Queen Ama to the throne room. Reluctantly, Queen Ama followed them, wearing a frown on her face. When she arrived, King Olu's voice boomed with anger. "How dare you talk to Queen Fatu in such a way? Don't you know she is my queen and your senior? I married her before you. If not for circumstances, you wouldn't be here." Queen Ama apologized, but deep down, she didn't mean it. She even disliked Queen Fatu more. How dare King Olu call Fatu his queen? What about me? She thought to herself. No, I must make sure my son becomes the heir to the throne, she said with determination. As Queen Fatu accepted Queen Ama's apology, little did she know the true feelings harboured within her fellow queen's heart. Queen Amma's resolve to secure her son's future as the heir to the throne burned stronger than ever before. Determined to ensure her son's future as the heir to the throne, Queen Amma embarked on a journey to a distant kingdom where King Olu was not well liked. This kingdom harbored resentment towards King Olu because he had defeated their warriors in battle and claimed some of their lands. Upon reaching the kingdom, Queen Amma sought out a powerful native doctor known for his mystical abilities. With a sly grin, the native doctor concocted a plan to help Queen Amma. He gave her special charms that would ensure that Amma's son would cry before Fatu's son if they were to give birth on the same day. Queen Amma's heart raced with excitement as she clutched the charms in her hands. With these magical charms, she believed she could finally secure her son's rightful place as the future king of Okuku village. Filled with hope and determination, Queen Amma returned to Okuku village, clutching the magical charms close to her heart. She couldn't wait to put the native doctor's plan into action and ensure her son's destiny as the heir to the throne. As the days passed and Queen Fatu's due date drew nearer, Queen Amma secretly prepared to use the charms to tip the scales in her favor. She kept her plan hidden from everyone, even King Olu, knowing that the success of her scheme relied on secrecy and cunning. On that fateful day, when both queens went into labor, Queen Fatu was the first to give birth. However, to everyone's surprise, her son didn't cry. It was Queen Amma's son who cried out first, catching everyone by surprise. Immediately the king declared Queen Amma's son as the heir to the throne. As the palace celebrated the birth of the new princes, Queen Fatu couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. She sensed a dark presence lingering in the air, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. Though King Olu was not happy that Queen Fatu's son didn't cry first, he had accepted his fate. Deep down, he harbored a glimmer of hope that Queen Fatu's son would still prove to be the rightful heir to the throne in due time. Despite his disappointment, King Olu remained steadfast in his duty to uphold the traditions and decrees of the kingdom. He knew that only time would reveal the true destiny of his heirs and the future of Okuku village. 20 years later, Queen Fatu's son, Femi, and Queen Amma's son, Toby, had grown into remarkable young men. Femi, in particular, had surpassed all expectations, becoming even more powerful than his father, King Olu. Together, Femi and King Olu fought in numerous battles, emerging victorious each time and strengthening their bond with every triumph. King Olu couldn't help but admire Femi's courage, strength, and wisdom. With each passing day, his love and pride for his son grew stronger, as he witnessed Femi's unwavering dedication to protecting their kingdom and upholding their legacy. As Femi stood by his father's side, ready to face any challenge that came their way, King Olu knew that the future of Okuku village was secure in the hands of his beloved son. King Olu's decision to appoint Femi as the second in command didn't sit well with Queen Amma. She was furious. How dare Olu make Femi the second in command? What about my son, Toby? Queen Amma exclaimed angrily, pacing around her room with frustration. She couldn't understand why King Olu would favor Femi over Toby, especially considering that Toby was the first to cry when they were born. In her eyes, Toby deserved recognition and honor just as much as Femi did. Toby's defiance knew no bounds. Despite King Olu's warnings against visiting the neighboring village, where many of the kingdom's enemies resided, Toby persisted in his disobedience. "Nobody can control me, not even you, father. You can't dictate how I live my life. Besides, it's clear I'm not your favorite. So just leave me alone," Toby declared with a sense of entitlement as he walked out on his father. King Olu felt a mixture of frustration and disappointment at Toby's disrespectful behavior. It pained him deeply to see his own son disregard his authority and put himself in harm's way. Toby's actions only added to the growing tension within the royal family, threatening the stability of their kingdom. King Olu then called Queen Ama to tell her how her son had responded to him. To his surprise, Queen Ama supported Toby, her son, saying that he was grown up and King Olu couldn't control him. Olu should face his favorite son and he should leave her son alone, Queen Ama firmly stated. King Olu was taken aback by Queen Ama's support for Toby. He couldn't believe that she would side with their disobedient son against him. Feeling hurt and frustrated, he responded, "Like mother, like son. I regret ever marrying you." The tension between King Olu and Queen Ama grew as their disagreement intensified. Then, Queen Fatu heard their arguments and rushed in. To her surprise, Queen Ama exclaimed, "I knew you would come, you wicked old woman. Why are you here now? Can't I have an argument with my beloved husband without you interfering?" Queen Fatu was surprised by Queen Ama's harsh words. She responded calmly, "I came because I heard raised voices. I didn't mean to intrude, but as the queen of this kingdom, I cannot ignore such turmoil." King Olu, frustrated by the escalating conflict, interjected sternly, "If care is not taken, I will send you back to your parents' house." Feeling hurt and misunderstood, Queen Ama stormed out of the room, unable to bear the tension any longer. The following day, King Olu summoned some of the elders and made a surprising decree. "If I die, the first of my sons to see my corpse will take over as king," he announced solemnly. The elders were surprised by the king's words and reassured him that he wouldn't die anytime soon. King Olu and Femi, his brave son, continued their battles together, conquering one village after another. They fought side by side, their bond growing stronger with each victory. Together, they triumphed over 150 villages, bringing honor and glory to their kingdom. But tragedy struck during their final battle. King Olu was wounded, lying on the battlefield, unable to move. When Femi saw his father in danger, a surge of power filled him. With determination in his heart, Femi fought fiercely, defeating all the enemy warriors with his newfound strength. In his excitement, Femi rushed to carry his father home, unaware of the seriousness of King Olu's wounds. Little did he know that the king had been struck by a poisonous sword, and his life hung in the balance. As Femi carried his father back to the palace, a sense of urgency filled the air. The villagers gathered around, their worried whispers echoing through the streets. Queen Fatu, overcome with concern, rushed to her husband's side, her heart heavy with fear. Together, they laid King Olu on his bed, his face pale and his breathing shallow. Queen Fatu's hands trembled as she tried to tend to his wounds, but it was clear that the poison was spreading quickly. Femi watched helplessly as his father's condition worsened by the minute. Desperate for a solution, Femi sought the guidance of the village healer, hoping against hope that there was still a chance to save his father's life. But as the hours passed, it became increasingly clear that King Olu's time was running out. With tears in their eyes and heavy hearts, the royal family and the villagers prayed fervently for King Olu's recovery. As the village healer arrived at the palace, his heart sank at the sight of King Olu's grave condition. With a heavy heart, he knew that there was little hope for the king's recovery. But he also harbored a secret, his forbidden love for Queen Ama, which he had kept hidden from everyone. Summoning Queen Ama aside, the healer whispered urgently, "We must act quickly. King Olu's time is short." Queen Amma's eyes widened in alarm as she listened to his plan. With a sense of desperation, the healer proposed a deceitful scheme. "We will tell the elders and Queen Fatu and Femi that King Olu will get better. We will take him to my shrine, where he will pass peacefully. Then, Toby, your son, will be the first to see his corpse, making him the new king," he explained, his voice tinged with urgency. Queen Amma hesitated, torn between her love for King Olu and her desire for power for her son, Toby. But in the end, her ambition won out, and she nodded in agreement to the healer's plan. Together, they concocted a tale of hope and healing, deceiving the elders and the royal family into believing that King Olu would recover. The healer and his servants then carefully carried the king to the shrine, their footsteps heavy with the weight of their deceit. When Femi and Queen Fatu insisted on accompanying them, the healer refused, his voice firm with authority. "No, you must not come," he declared, his eyes betraying a hint of nervousness. "I must perform sacred rituals in solitude to aid the king's recovery. No one should disturb us." Femi and Queen Fatu exchanged worried glances, sensing that something was amiss, but they reluctantly obeyed the healer's orders. As they watched the healer and his servants disappear into the distance with King Olu, a sense of foreboding settled over them, leaving them anxious for the fate of their beloved king and the future of their kingdom. Unknowingly to Queen Fatu and Femi, Toby had already sneaked out of the palace and made his way to the healer's shrine. Hours later, King Olu succumbed to his illness, departing to join his ancestors. Instead of sorrow, jubilation filled the air as Toby and Queen Amma celebrated their newfound power. The healer wasted no time and swiftly sent his servants to the palace to deliver the devastating news. Upon hearing of King Olu's passing, Queen Fatu collapsed in grief, her heart shattered by the loss of her beloved husband. The palace was engulfed in mourning as the reality of their king's death sunk in. After King Olu's burial, the kingdom prepared to crown its new ruler. Femi and Queen Fatu were taken aback when the elders announced that in a few weeks' time, Toby would be crowned king. "No, that's unacceptable," Femi exclaimed, his voice filled with disbelief. "I was the one who saw father's corpse first. How can they say they're going to crown Toby king? It's not happening. I have fought alongside father and won many battles for this land, but Toby has done nothing. I will not let this injustice stand." As the elders deliberated, one of them stood up and began to narrate the events surrounding King Olu's passing. He recounted how Toby had sneaked out to the healer's shrine and had been the one to see the king's corpse first, before Femi. Queen Fatu's anger flared at this revelation. How could the healer allow Toby to see the king when he had practically forbidden anyone from visiting until he got better? "This is so unfair," she exclaimed, her voice trembling with frustration. Before Queen Fatu could say more, Queen Amma stood up and accused Femi of striking down his father in battle, and then lying about it to claim the throne. Femi was shocked by the accusation. "That's not true," he insisted. "I would never harm my own father, let alone deceive my people for my own gain." The palace fell into a tense silence as the weight of the accusations hung heavy in the air. Despite the challenges they faced, Queen Fatu and Femi remained determined to clear their names and restore justice to the kingdom. Meanwhile, the healer, who had helped Toby become the first to see the king, stayed in the shadows, keeping his real intentions secret. Some people knew he was working with Queen Amma and Toby, making sure they got what they wanted. Queen Amma and Toby felt powerful and made sneaky plans to keep control of the kingdom. They acted all innocent and loyal in public, but behind the scenes, they were playing games, making sure they stayed in charge. With all this drama, Queen Fatu and Femi were facing problems from all sides. But they didn't give up. They kept fighting for what was right, even when it seemed like everyone was against them. They were determined to bring peace back to their kingdom, no matter what. One day, Femi received an invitation from one of the palace elders. Curious, he went to meet him. The elder then shared his suspicions with Femi, suggesting that Queen Ama might be having an affair with the healer. Shocked, Femi listened as the elder explained how this could have distracted King Olu on the battlefield, leading to his injury. Femi was taken aback by the revelation and vowed to confront Queen Ama immediately. But the elder cautioned him, saying they needed more evidence first. Reluctantly, Femi returned home and confided in his mother, Queen Fatu. "I knew it," Queen Fatu exclaimed angrily. "That woman is up to no good. She's the reason my husband is gone, and yet she dares to cry like a fool." Femi tried to calm his mother down, reassuring her that they needed to gather more evidence before confronting Queen Ama and Toby. Despite the anger and frustration, they knew they had to bide their time and plan their next move carefully. As the days stretched into weeks, Femi and Queen Fatu were like detectives on a mission, hunting for clues to uncover Queen Ama's sneaky tricks. They worked tirelessly, gathering evidence and asking for help from trusted friends in the palace. Every piece of information they found was like a puzzle piece, helping them build a stronger case. But little did they know, Queen Ama had been busy behind their backs. She had bribed many guards and officials to keep quiet, making it hard for Femi and Queen Fatu to prove their case. No matter how hard they tried, nobody seemed to believe them when they accused Queen Ama and Toby of wrongdoing. Feeling really down and betrayed by the people they thought they could trust, Femi and Queen Fatu felt like they were all alone in their fight for justice. But they refused to give up hope. They believed that if they kept searching for the truth, they would eventually find it. With their determination burning bright, Femi and Queen Fatu kept going, looking for new clues and asking for help from anyone who would listen. As the day of the coronation drew near, Okuku village faced a new threat as neighboring villages attempted to launch an attack. Femi, along with a band of brave warriors, rushed to defend their homeland, leaving the palace vulnerable in his absence. Meanwhile, Queen Ama seized the opportunity to advance her own agenda. With the help of the palace healer, she embarked on a campaign of bribery, corrupting villagers and elders alike to ensure Toby's ascension to the throne. As the moment arrived to crown Toby king, an unexpected turn of events unfolded. Try as they might, the royal crown simply refused to settle upon Toby's head, no matter how hard they tried. Even the priest and the healer, with their expertise and knowledge, could not convince the crown to accept Toby as its rightful wearer. Despite this baffling occurrence, the elders remained undeterred in their determination to see Toby crowned. Fueled by their own greed and ambition, they pressed forward with the coronation, paying no heed to the ancient tradition that dictated only the true king could wear the crown. Their pockets heavy with the spoils of Queen Ama's deceit, they forged ahead, blinded by their own selfish desires for power and wealth. Queen Fatu watched in disbelief as the elders proceeded with Toby's coronation. She anxiously awaited her son's return from war, eager to share the unsettling truth with him and rally their forces to reclaim what was rightfully theirs. With each passing moment, her resolve strengthened, fueled by the injustice unfolding before her eyes. The following day, as Femi remained engaged in battle, Queen Ama's desperation drove her to seek assistance from the healer. With a worried expression etched upon her face, she pleaded with him to intervene on Toby's behalf. My dear, Toby must be crowned king, but the crown refuses to accept him, she implored. Please, I beg of you, help me persuade the chief priest to appeal to the gods, so they may accept my son as the rightful king. To Queen Amma's dismay, the healer's response was not what she expected. I will grant your request, he said, but only if you agree to my terms. With a heavy heart, Queen Amma reluctantly consented, knowing that her desire to see Toby crowned king outweighed any reservations she may have had about the healer's proposition. If you're enjoying this story, comment continue for part 2. Subscribe and turn on post notification to stay updated. Don't forget to like, share, and spread the word.